In the early 18th century, Japan was under the rule of the Tokugawa shogunate, a feudal military government that maintained strict control over the country. The era, known as the Edo period, was marked by a rigid social hierarchy, strict adherence to the samurai code of Bushido, and a delicate balance of power among the daimyo, or feudal lords. Among these daimyo was Asano Naganori, the young and honorable lord of Ako, a small domain in western Japan. Asano Naganori, known for his integrity and devotion to duty, was summoned to Edo, modern-day Tokyo, in 1701 to perform official duties at the court of the shogun, Tokugawa Tsunayoshi. He was to be instructed in the proper court etiquette and protocol by Kira Yoshinaka, a high-ranking court official who held the title of Koke, or Master of Ceremonies. Kira was a man of considerable influence and power, known for his arrogance and greed. Asano's arrival at Edo Castle marked the beginning of a fateful series of events. From the outset, Kira Yoshinaka treated Asano with disdain and disrespect, expecting lavish gifts and bribes in exchange for his guidance. Asano, a man of principle, refused to comply with Kira's corrupt demands. This refusal only fueled Kira's animosity, and he began to openly insult and belittle Asano, questioning his competence and honor. The tension between the two men came to a head on the 21st day of the third month of 1701. On that day, as Asano was preparing for a formal ceremony in the Matsu no Oroka, the great pine corridor of Edo Castle, Kira's provocations became unbearable. In front of other court officials, Kira insulted Asano, calling him a country bumpkin unfit for courtly duties. The public nature of the insult deeply humiliated Asano, a samurai bound by a strict code of honor. Unable to contain his rage, Asano drew his wakizashi, a short sword, and lunged at Kira. The attack was swift but not fatal. Kira managed to escape with a wound to his face and shoulder, fleeing through the corridors of the castle. Drawing a sword within Edo Castle was a grave offense, one that disrupted the peace and sanctity of the shogun's court. The repercussions of Asano's actions were immediate and severe. He was quickly apprehended by the castle guards and brought before the shogun's council. Despite the provocations that led to his outburst, Asano's violation of protocol could not be excused. The shogun, Tokugawa Tsunayoshi, decreed that Asano should commit seppuku, the ritual suicide reserved for samurai, as atonement for his crime. On that same day, Asano Naganori performed the solemn ritual with dignity. In the presence of the shogunate officials, he composed his death poem, expressing his regret and resolve. Then, with the assistance of his second, he plunged the wakizashi into his abdomen, making the prescribed cuts before succumbing to his fate. His calm and honorable death stood in stark contrast to the dishonor he felt from Kira's insults. The punishment extended beyond Asano's death. The shogunate ordered the confiscation of Asano's domain in Ako, leaving his samurai retainers without a master and stripping them of their status and livelihoods. These former samurai, now Ronin, faced a future of uncertainty and disgrace. Among these newly made Ronin was Oishi Kuranosuke, the chief retainer of the Asano clan. A man of considerable wisdom and leadership, Oishi would soon become the central figure in the unfolding saga of loyalty and revenge that would captivate Japan for centuries to come. But for now, the immediate shock of their lord's death and the loss of their domain left the Ronin in a state of profound grief and disarray. As news of the incident spread, the people of Edo and beyond were captivated by the dramatic turn of events. The tale of Asano's honorable yet impulsive act, Kira's survival, and the fate of the now masterless samurai began to take on a life of its own, setting the stage for a legendary story of loyalty and retribution. The death of Asano Naganori left his loyal samurai in a state of profound shock and sorrow. With the confiscation of their master's domain, these samurai were now Ronin, masterless warriors, plunged into a world of uncertainty and disgrace. The once proud retainers of the Ako domain were scattered, their futures bleak and their honor tainted by association with their lord's abrupt demise. In the immediate aftermath, the Asano clan's castle at Ako was seized by the shogunate's forces. The retainers were ordered to vacate the premises, leaving behind their homes, possessions, and the lives they had known. The samurai's families faced destitution, and the community, once united under Asano's leadership, was torn apart. Many Ronin, stripped of their livelihoods, were forced to take up menial jobs or rely on the charity of others, a far cry from their former status. Amid this turmoil, one man emerged as the beacon of hope and resolve for the disbanded samurai, Oishi Kuranosuke. Oishi had been Asano's chief retainer, a position of significant responsibility and respect. Known for his wisdom, calm demeanor, and unwavering loyalty, Oishi was deeply trusted by his fellow samurai. Despite the chaos, he quickly took it upon himself to provide leadership and a sense of purpose. Oishi recognized the gravity of their situation and the need for a measured, strategic response. He understood that direct, immediate action against Kira would be suicidal and futile. Instead, he began to formulate a plan that would require patience, secrecy, and the absolute commitment of the Ronin. Oishi called a secret meeting of the most trusted retainers of the Asano clan. In a secluded location away from prying eyes, he presented his plan to avenge their master's unjust death by killing Kira Yoshinaka. This act of retribution would restore their honor and fulfill their duty to Asano. However, such a plan was fraught with danger. If discovered, they would face certain death, and their families would suffer severe repercussions. Despite the risks, the Ronin were resolute. In a solemn and binding ceremony, they swore an oath of loyalty to one another and to the memory of Asano Naganori. They vowed to carry out their plan, no matter the personal cost. This oath was not taken lightly. It was an embodiment of the Bushido code, emphasizing loyalty, honor, and sacrifice. To ensure their plan remained undetected, the Ronin agreed to disperse and adopt various roles and lifestyles. Some took on the guise of merchants, craftsmen, or monks, while others became farmers or laborers. A few, including Oishi himself, went to great lengths to appear as though they had abandoned all thoughts of revenge. Oishi's personal sacrifice was particularly profound. He moved to Kyoto and began to lead a seemingly dissolute life. Frequenting taverns and brothels, he created the impression of a man who had lost his way, disheartened by the fall of his lord. His public displays of drunkenness and debauchery were a calculated effort to convince Kira's spies that he and the other Ronin posed no threat. This strategy of deception was not without its toll. Oishi endured public humiliation and the scorn of those who believed he had dishonored his samurai heritage. His family also suffered. His wife, unable to bear the disgrace, eventually left him, taking their children with her. Despite this personal anguish, Oishi remained steadfast, knowing that the success of their mission depended on maintaining their cover. Over the months and years, the Ronin continued their secret communications, coordinating their efforts and gathering intelligence on Kira's movements and defenses. They patiently waited for the opportune moment to strike, their resolve never wavering. The bond they shared, forged through their shared loyalty and suffering, grew stronger, cementing their determination to see their plan through to its bloody conclusion. In this period of disbandment and despair, the Ronin's commitment to their cause and to each other was tested to its limits. Their oath, sworn in secrecy and upheld through hardship, set the stage for the dramatic and fateful events that were to come. After nearly 2 years of meticulous planning and patient waiting, the time had finally come for the 47 Ronin to reunite and execute their plan. Oishi Kuranosuke, who had carefully monitored the situation and gathered intelligence, sent secret messages to his scattered comrades, summoning them to Edo. The Ronin, each having maintained their cover and gathered crucial information, traveled in secrecy to avoid raising any suspicion. In a secluded location on the outskirts of Edo, the Ronin came together once more. The atmosphere was charged with a mixture of solemn determination and the unspoken bond forged through their shared hardship. Each man knew the gravity of what lay ahead, but their loyalty to Asano Naganori and their commitment to restoring their honor steeled their resolve. The Ronin's final preparations were carried out with military precision. They had already gathered detailed intelligence about Kira's mansion, including its layout, the number of guards, and the best points of entry. Now, they turned their attention to procuring weapons and finalizing their strategy. Oishi and his men acquired swords, spears, and bows, ensuring they were well armed for the impending battle. They crafted makeshift armor from household items, as wearing traditional samurai armor would have drawn unwanted attention. The Ronin divided themselves into two groups. One would attack the front gate, while the other would storm the rear entrance, cutting off any possible escape routes for Kira. The plan was simple, yet effective. They would launch a surprise attack under the cover of darkness, using the element of surprise to their advantage. Each man knew his role and the importance of coordination. Oishi emphasized the need to minimize harm to innocents and to avoid unnecessary bloodshed, focusing solely on their target, Kira Yoshinaka. On a cold, snowy night in December 1702, the Ronin made their move. The streets of Edo were quiet, blanketed in a fresh layer of snow that muffled their footsteps. Moving swiftly and silently, the two groups converged on Kira's mansion from the front and rear. At the signal, the Ronin launched their attack. The front group, led by Oishi, forced their way through the main gate, overwhelming the guards with a flurry of precise and deadly strikes. Meanwhile, the rear group, led by Oishi's son, Chikara, breached the back entrance, neutralizing the guards stationed there. Inside the mansion, chaos erupted. The Ronin moved methodically from room to room, subduing any resistance they encountered. They called out to the occupants, reassuring them that their target was Kira and that no harm would come to those who did not interfere. The occupants, terrified and confused, offered little resistance. The search for Kira was intense and thorough. The Ronin scoured the mansion, breaking down doors and overturning furniture in their relentless pursuit. Finally, in a hidden compartment beneath a storage shed in the garden, they found their quarry. Kira was trembling with fear, desperately trying to conceal himself. Oishi Kuranosuke confronted Kira, offering him the chance to die honorably by committing seppuku. However, Kira was paralyzed with terror and unable to comply. Seeing this, Oishi took it upon himself to execute Kira, swiftly beheading him with a single stroke of his sword. The Ronin had fulfilled their oath. With Kira's head in their possession, the Ronin made their way to Sengakuji Temple, where their master, Asano Naganori, was buried. Despite the fatigue and wounds some of them bore, they were driven by a profound sense of duty and accomplishment. Arriving at the temple before dawn, they washed and cleaned Kira's head, presenting it as an offering at Asano's grave. Kneeling before their master's resting place, the Ronin laid down the head of the man who had caused Asano's unjust death. In this act, they completed their mission and honored their solemn vow. The Ronin then surrendered themselves to the authorities, fully aware of the consequences they faced. But their spirits were unbowed, having restored their honor and that of their fallen lord. With their mission accomplished, the 47 Ronin, led by Oishi Kuranosuke, knew that their next step was to surrender themselves to the authorities. Early in the morning, with Kira's head now an offering at Asano Naganori's grave, the Ronin made their way to the residence of the shogunate's representative. They marched in silence, their faces resolute, bearing the weight of what they had done and what was to come. Upon arrival, they presented themselves and declared their actions, submitting to the will of the shogun. The authorities were initially taken aback by the Ronin's orderly and honorable surrender. News of their revenge had already begun to spread, and the story of their loyalty and bravery captured the public's imagination. However, the Ronin's actions had violated the law, and the shogunate was faced with the task of determining their fate. The public reaction was one of deep admiration and sympathy for the Ronin. Commoners and samurai alike were moved by the tale of unwavering loyalty and courage. The Ronin's commitment to avenging their master, even at the cost of their own lives, resonated with the values of Bushido that many held dear. This widespread support added pressure on the authorities to show leniency. Conversely, the shogunate was obligated to uphold the law and maintain order. Allowing the Ronin to go unpunished could set a dangerous precedent, encouraging other acts of vigilantism and defiance against the central authority. The shogunate's leadership found themselves in a difficult position, torn between the demands of justice and the public's admiration for the Ronin's virtue. Shogun Tokugawa Tsuneyoshi faced a profound dilemma. He needed to balance the enforcement of the law with the recognition of the Ronin's exceptional display of loyalty and honor. After much deliberation and consultation with his advisors, the shogun made a decision that he hoped would honor both justice and the samurai code. On February 4th, 1703, the shogunate issued an order for the 47 Ronin to commit seppuku, the ritual suicide befitting samurai of their status. This decision allowed the Ronin to die with honor, maintaining their dignity and adherence to Bushido while also upholding the rule of law. The Ronin received the order with solemn acceptance. They were prepared for this outcome and understood the necessity of their actions being concluded with honor. On the appointed day, each Ronin, dressed in white funeral robes, performed the ritual with the same discipline and resolve they had shown throughout their mission. In the presence of witnesses, each Ronin composed a death poem, an integral part of the seppuku ritual, reflecting on their lives and their duty. They then proceeded with the ritual, demonstrating calmness and courage in their final moments. Oishi Kuranosuke, the last to perform the ritual, set an example for his men, embodying the highest ideals of the samurai spirit. The bodies of the 47 Ronin were interred beside their master, Asano Naganori, at Sengakuji Temple in Edo. The temple, already a place of significance, became a revered site of pilgrimage. People from all walks of life visited the graves to pay their respects, leaving offerings and prayers for the souls of the Ronin who had exemplified the ultimate sacrifice for loyalty and honor. The graves at Sengakuji Temple became a symbol of the samurai code and a reminder of the values that defined the warrior class. The story of the 47 Ronin was immortalized through countless retellings in literature, theater, and later film. The kabuki and bunraku plays, particularly the famous Chushingura, dramatized their tale, ensuring that their legacy would endure through the ages. The story of the 47 Ronin left an indelible mark on Japanese culture. It became a paragon of loyalty, sacrifice, and the samurai spirit, influencing not only the arts but also the moral and ethical framework of society. The tale resonated deeply with the Japanese people, embodying the virtues of duty and honor that were core to the samurai way of life. As Japan modernized and transformed, the story of the 47 Ronin continued to inspire. It served as a touchstone for discussions about ethics, duty, and the complex interplay between personal loyalty and societal laws. The legacy of the 47 Ronin remains a powerful narrative, celebrating the enduring spirit of the samurai and the timeless principles of honor and loyalty that they upheld.